Welcome to the PL-9600 Next Gen webinar. What's new in this 7th generation pull-tree computer? What we will be discussing today, the difference between the PL-9500 and PL-9600. We'll be sharing tips on installation, and at the end of the webinar, we'll have a Q&A session where you can submit your questions. You can ask questions in the chat, so please do. Jessica will collect these questions and we will address them in the last 15 minutes of this 1-hour webinar. If you run out of time, you will receive an answer by email afterwards. I mentioned the 7th generation, but what are the predecessors? We started with the first pull-tree computer in 1987, the PCS 6000. In 1989, this was followed by the PCS 9000. In 1991, it was time for the PCS 9100. Quite a while later, in 2006, the first PL computer was introduced, the PL-9200. In 2016, it was succeeded by the PL-9400 and PL-9500. And finally, last year, the PL-9600, which we are going to talk about now. Then a few practical details about the webinar. This Zoom webinar works as follows. Your microphone and webcam are automatically turned off, and you can't turn them on for your convenience. At the bottom left of your screen, you will see the Q&A icon, where you can submit your questions, which we will cover at the end. You can also see the chat icon. Click on this to open the chat and send a message. All participants will be able to read your message. Try it out. You will not need any other functions in this webinar, so let's get started.
My name is Sjaak Beyen. I have been working at Stenen for over 40 years. I started in the production, later as a control panel builder and a service engineer, and now I'm working as a product specialist. In this position, I support the sales and the service department with various issues and also the development department with software testing.
My name is Bart van den Boom, and I'm also have 40 years of work experience at Stenen. I started in production, then moved on to the repair and service department. After that, I managed production for a few years, and for the last 20 years, I've been working as service coordinator. At the beginning of last year, I took a step back and transferred a number of tasks to my colleague Guus Gommans. Jessica and Guus are also here today, but they are behind the scenes and in the live chat. So feel free to ask your questions. We can see that the chat is live with people watching from all over the world.
We see people from Germany, Belgium, the North Island, South Africa, Poland and England at this moment. Please feel free to share your thoughts during the presentation, but do mention the subject of the slide so we can analyze your comments later. Ideas for improving the PL-9600 are also very welcome.
What can you expect from this webinar? We will discuss the difference between the PL-9500 and PL-9600 management computers. We will also cover starting up the PL-9600, installation and settings, and we will focus on the dashboard and widgets. And at the end, there will be the Q&A session. A brief introduction. The PL-9600 is the successor to the PL-9500. It is an all-in-one climate and management computer. for all types of poultry. It automatically regulates, monitors, and controls the processes in the house. It minimizes manual tasks and provides insight to optimize the welfare and performance of the animals. In short, it provides insight into all essential management information at a glance via a clear display.
The PL-9600 has been developed to add more functionality, such as improve connectivity and security with Farm Connect 4. Extensive user management has been added so that the administrator can easily grant selected users access to the PL-9600 with their own PIN code. Installation has been simplified by making it easy to enable or disable parts of the software during the installation, so that settings that are not relevant are not visible. A built-in visualization has been added in the form of graphs of all measurements. We have added a comprehensive alarm overview and alarm history overview. The change history for each setting can be easily reviewed. This shows the name of the user, what he has changed, when he has changed it, and to what the setting is changed.
We have two versions of the PL-9600. The wall-mounted version has a 10-inch screen. The panel-mounted version has a 15.6-inch screen, which is larger and therefore allows for more widgets. But more about that later. The control software and the hardware of the base circuit boards are the same in both versions. The only difference is the size of the display. There are a number of hardware differences between a PL-9500 and the PL-9600.
As you can see in the table, the PL-9600 has more inputs and outputs. I will list them for you. 12 instead of 10 temperature inputs, 5 instead of 4 0 to 10 volt inputs, 10 instead of 5 digital inputs. These are particularly suitable for alarm inputs. A built-in pressure sensor. 12 instead of 8 0 to 10 volt outputs, 30 instead of 7 relays, but it's important to note that the relays have a shared P contact in groups of 5. The FM bus and 2 module connections are standard.
What's new? The PL-9600 has a new user interface. It has a dashboard and widgets. It's real-time technology and it has analytical visuals.
And many more. Before you start installing the PL-9600, we advise to determine together with the customer what is needed for this project, such as which settings are or are not required. Also consider customer preferences such as the various types of compensations and which users should have access to the 9600.
How do you start up? First, set the language for the default user. Then set the installation menu, create the user. Once the installation menu has been programmed, it is important that the computer is alarm-free. To do this, go to the alarm management and clear the last alarms. Finally, adjust the curves together with the end user. We will now explain these steps. How do you log in as an installer? Tap the person icon in the top right corner. Then enter the familiar PIN code in the pop-up screen that appears to activate the installation menu. You use this to log in and log out of a session.
After logging in with the installer code, a tool icon will appear in the top right corner. Click on this icon. When you click on it, the color scheme of the menus will change to orange. This very clearly indicates that we are in the installation menu. What we do is to set the animal species. In this example, the setting is broilers. The purpose of this setting is to make a pre-selection of the available settings. For example, it makes no sense to show an account for broilers. If you still want to be able to see all possible settings, select Other for the animal species.
We can choose from the following animal species: broiler chickens, rearing chickens, laying hens, and if you want something else, you can choose Other, as Jacques already mentioned.
In the menu Climate General, we specify the functions we will use in the PL-9600 for the various control. In the example on the screen, we have activated air inlets, heating and cooling controls have been selected in the climate group. Then these installation manuals will become visible.
We have changed where you set the temperature sensors. So how do you set them? To do this, go to Climate, then and finally General. Under the Settings tab, set how many sensors are used. Then give the sensors a name, for example, the location in the house or the application, followed by a short name of maximum 3 characters. And if necessary, the terminal numbers for these sensors when they are connected to another module. The short name is used in the widgets.
Another new feature is the menu for setting which sensors are used to calculate the house temperature. The temperature sensor for the previous slide are used for this. First, enter the number of the sensors used to calculate the house temperature in the Settings tab. Then, in the Settings tab, select the temperature sensors used in the sensor column. In the preheating brooding column, you can switch off the temperature sensors that are needed in the preheating or brooding program. In other words, mostly this is half house. You can switch off the sensors there in the cold area.
How do you apply the house temperature to a control system? With control systems such as heating and cooling, you don't always have to re-enter all sensors if the sensors are the same for the entire house. By default, Use House Temperature is enabled. If you still want to assign the temperature sensors yourself, you can do so. Set Use House Temperature to Off. Enter the number of sensors and then select the desired temperature sensors.
Another new feature for the counters is that in addition to the mode water, feed and other, the counters now also offer a kilowatt-hour option to provide insight to the energy consumption of your farm. If it is desired, it's also possible multiple kilowatt-hour meters to separately record the consumption for example, lighting, feed, ventilation, and so on. The PL-9600 automatically adds up the meter readings of the individual kilowatt-hour meters to the group total, so that the total consumption of the house is also available. Another new feature is the option to exclude a counter from the group totals.
How to create a user. To do this, press the person icon in the top right corner and log in as an installer. Confirm the code with OK. Then press the gear wheel twice in the menu bar on the left. Next, select Authorization. Then select the Local tab and press Add at the bottom of the screen. Enter the username a short name of 3 characters, the PIN code, don't forget them, And the role. Here I chose user, then the default language, for the user in this case English, and I give this user modification rights. Now you just press create and the user is created.
In the screen default user, you can set the language and the level of the user without to log in with the PIN code. Also, you can set if the default user is allowed to change a setting.
Finally, ensure that all alarms have been resolved. You can see which alarms are still active in alarm management. Then fill in the grow curve together with the end user. If you don't have any data available, determine the number of breakpoints together with the end user. We will now conclude the installation section. We will now discuss the dashboards and widgets. There is no arguing about taste, so there are two themes available. By default, the PL-9600 is set to the dark theme. Select the general menu item via the gear wheel on the left of the menu bar and then go to the theme item. Here you can change the theme to light.
Now I will explain what you currently see on the home screen. On the far left, in the green box, you can select the topic you want to view from top to bottom. The home button, where you are now, the button where you will find everything related to management, such as livestock management, livestock weighing, water and feed consumptions, the counter, energy consumption, and egg counters. Also, the minimum and maximum measurements from the sensors, hour counters, and configuring programs for the various operating stages. The next icon is the menu for the climate control. Then you will find the menus for the weighing, the menus for timers, the menus for alarms, and the system menu in the bottom. Then at the top of the screen, from left to right, a button to open the alarm page. In this example, the button is red, and therefore there's alarm visible with the number 1. This means that there is currently 1 alarm present. We will come back to this later in this webinar. A quick menu is added with the buttons for round management and day number and other daily settings. The meaning of the icons in the round management: the PL-9400 has only in use and not in use mode. The PL-9500 has a few more programs. The purpose of the programs is to eliminate the need for manual operation, the ventilation of the inlet fans, heatings, etc. during a non-standard operation situation. This is to prevent errors after the non-standard operation situation has ended. In this slide, the programs are available in the PL-9600. So, first, not in use. There are no animals in the house, and the normal alarm system is switched off, except for system problems and installation alarms. New in the PL-9600 is disinfecting. Enter the parameters for the controls, what you are used to disinfect the house. Also new in the PL-9600 is setting up. Enter the parameters for the controls as you use to set up the house, such as light, feed, etc. Preheating. This is used when warming up the house with ventilation off, inlets closed, and the heating set to a fixed setting. If activated, brooding. You can use this if you're using a smaller part of the house during the heating and the first weeks of the rearing. Then, in use, all settings work automatically. New in the PL-9600 is vaccination. Enter here the parameters for the settings you use to vaccinate the animals, such as ventilation, lighting, etc. Lighting. Catching. When catching the animals, set the ventilation to a fixed setting, negative pressure off, inlets to a fixed setting, timers to a fixed setting, or after catching, set the computer back to in use and you won't have any trouble to get everything running again. Cleaning. Here you enter the settings for your control during the cleaning of the house. You will also receive an alarm if you forget to remove the humidity sensor and the CO2 sensor. Drying. Set the controls to the settings you prefer for drying the house. Also, round management has been added to the quick menu of the PL-9600. This has been added to manage the data from the rounds in Farm Connect 4 and also make it easier than before to switch from not in use to in use or another program. You are now asked to fill in the information at the right moment instead of having to navigate through the computer for the several menus. For example, it starts with round action, create round. When you click on this, you are asked the name of this round, how many animals are being set up, and the initial day of the growth curve. After creating the round, there are no animals present in the house yet. So we can close the round or start the round. Also, we can choose which program to run in this mode. So not in use, disinfect, or setting up the house, for example, to start a feed weigher. The system will ask again the day number in the growth curve for the feed weigher, or preheat to warm up the house, and the system will ask again the day number in the growth curve. When the animals are received and we want to enter the preheating status and start a round, we press Start Round. We are then asked to enter the start day number in the growth curve to make sure that it is the right day number. After pressing OK, the computer is operational. We also can enter in the quick menu the mortality and silo content if we have a feed weigher. In this example, we are now in use. From this program, we can choose vaccination, catching, or after vaccination or catching, and there are still animals in the house, we go back to in use. If there are no animals in the house anymore, you can stop round. Here we can clean the house, dry the house, or set the house to not in use. If you made a mistake, we can resume the round. To the right of the quick menu, in the center, the name of the computer is displayed. You can change this yourself. We recommend that you always customize this by the settings menu. For example, change it to the name of the house. This in order to provide clarity for your employees. At the top right, the current date and time is shown. To the right of this, there is the globe icon. This allows you to temporarily change the displayed language in the current session. For example, to discuss something with an employee who speaks a different language. On the far right is the icon for logging in and out of the session.
How do you add a widget? We will demonstrate this in a video. You can only select widgets from systems and components that are installed. Press anywhere on the screen with your finger until edit mode appears. Now press the plus sign where you want your widget to be. Now select the widget you want to add from the pop-up list. We first select the management widget and confirm with OK. Next, we press the plus sign again and select the widget for total water consumption in milliliters per animal and confirm with OK. Now press the plus sign next to the last widget added and select the feed consumption widget in grams per animal and confirm with OK. Finally, I will add two heating widgets and the cooling widget in the same way. The main dashboard is now completely filled with widgets. You can add multiple dashboards according to your own preference. For that, you have to swipe.
One of the available widgets is the main cockpit, which is a widget that can be placed on one or more dashboards. By default, the PL-9600 comes with the main cockpit on the home dashboard. In the following slides, I will explain what you see in the main cockpit. On the left side of the main cockpit, a number of temperatures are displayed. These are, from top to bottom, the house temperature, the temperature set point, the maximum alarm limit, the minimum alarm limit, and the outside temperature. The right-hand box shows current ventilation in cubic meter per kilogram per hour. For customers who prefer imperial, CFM is available. Below that, if available, the measurements from a number of connected sensors such as pressure, humidity, CO2, etc. are displayed. Above the arcs, on your left hand and your right hand, you can see the status of the heating and cooling systems. If one or more heating systems or cooling systems are active, these icons turn green. The center shows a visual representation of the composition of the main ventilation system. In the next slides, we will describe these one by one. The graphic needle shows the current status of the calculated ventilation. It can go between minimum and maximum ventilation limits. Between these values, there is a gray area. In the center, the percentage of the current ventilation is indicated by a number. The icons for the controls shown in each arc are in the green box. If an icon is active, if a control is active, the icon is colored white. From the center to the left, you will see the icons for the controlled fan group, which in this case has 2 equal steps. The on-off fans in the step control, here with 2 equal steps. If installed, in this case it is, the equal step control with 4 fans. And the last one, the on-off fans that can work in the tunnel ventilation mode. The green colored part of the arcs indicates the percentage of the ventilation or fans that are active. If a part is turned red, the fan has a malfunction. the PL-9600 then selects automatically the next fan. If a number is displayed in the arc of the step control, this number indicates which fan can be switched on at the maximum ventilation in the current settings. This allows the user to determine which fan can already have the manual seal removed if placed.
Also available as widgets, the customizable 3D house view and the meters from the PL-9500. We will show you how to add a 3D house view to a dashboard in a short video. We press and hold again our finger somewhere on the screen until we enter edit mode. We swipe to the left until we have a blank edit screen. At the bottom of the screen you will see round dots that shows on which dashboard page we are. We press the plus sign and select house view from the list in the pop-up screen and confirm this with OK. Now we can press on the pencil in the right upper corner, then press on the image right from the pencil and select the background you want. For now we select the 3D house view with air inlets and ventilation outlets. To add values, press on the plus and select a value from the list. I will start with the outside temperature and confirm with OK. Now you will see the value in the upper left corner and you move it to the right place. Now we add the temperature sensors left front and left rear. In the same way, we can add all other sensors you want. Values such as humidity, CO2, ammonia, and under pressure sensor, they are also available. And here you see my finished house view. At the end, don't forget to save twice the house view. By swiping left, you can create or call up a new dashboard. You will see this at the bottom of the dots. This was shown in the video I just demonstrated, where I showed how to create a house view. In this dashboard, we can see the contents of 3 silos that separate temperatures in the house and manage the management data and the graphical representation of the various timers. So there are endless possibilities. This also allows us to display graphs. Here, for example, 3 widgets. The first one is showing the house temperature, and the other showing the relative humidity and CO2 levels. The green line shows today's measurements, while the gray line shows yesterday's measurements. A very important graph for the user is the cumulative water and feed consumption for today and yesterday. This is available as a widget as well. The top 2 graphs show that more was drunk and eaten today than yesterday. And the following widget displays water consumption per hour using a bar chart. You can conclude from this that 4 periods are set on the water timer, and that a lot is consumed at the beginning of each period, with consumption decreasing over the course of the period. The meters from the PL-9500 are also as widget available in the PL-9600. And now it's time for the poll. You can see him in your screen now. Which screen would you set as home screen? A, the dashboard with main cockpit. B, the 3D house view, C, the widget with water and feed consumption, D, the meters as in the PL-9500, or I don't know yet. Please make your choice and we'll get the results in a moment. And we are curious about everyone's preference and if it's all the same or maybe complete different. Our guess is that the dashboard and cockpit is most preferable. Ja, can we see the results?
No. Oh, it's coming in. Okay, there are results coming in. Let's wait a little while. At this moment, it is a tie. So we'll wait.
We will wait for a winner.
There is no winner yet.
Okay, that can also happen.
Okay. Well, the dashboard and cockpit and the 3D house has both 40%. The widgets and water feed grapher has 10%. The meters, like in the PL-9500, has 5%. And don't know is the rest 5%. We have also made some changes to the operability of the PL-9600, such as grow curves and compensations. I will explain in more detail in the following slides. One of the things we have added is that all climate curves can now be displayed in one single table, which we call the main curve. The big advantage of this is that the relevance between the controls now is visible at a glance, without having to navigate between the different screens. This means that the settings linked to the main curve now have all the same day number of breakpoints. And they all will have the day numbers. Okay, a good example is the temperature difference between heating and ventilation. This is something that users of previous generations of climate computers sometimes got wrong, resulting in unnecessarily high heating cost. In the example above, you can clearly see there is a 1 degree difference between the heating and the ventilation on each breakpoint. So I will explain a little bit. On day 7, in the left vertical column, the heating is set to a difference of 0 degrees from the house temperature. The ventilation is set to +1 degree of the house temperature. On day 28, the right-hand vertical column, the ventilation is set a difference of 0 degree to the house temperature, and the heating to -1 degree of the house temperature. The main ventilation screen curve is shown here. We have added the option here as well in the other controls to use the grow curve in the same way as previously in the 9400 and PL-9500. This is done by disconnecting from the main curve setting. If this setting is set to yes, you will have the option, as like in the PL-9400 and the PL-9500, to set the day numbers in the curve yourself. Also, the compensation has to be made more transparent. In the PL-9600 has, in addition to the PL-9200, the calculated value as in the absolute influence of the compensation to the relevant controls. In the example on the screen, you see the calculated CO2 compensation from 5%, but the absolute compensation on the ventilation is 0.5%. Then we have created a tab Active Compensations to the house and the main ventilation sections. This screen shows you which compensations may be active at the setting and what effect they have. In the example, you can see that the calculated target temperature from the growth curve is 25.8 degrees. However, the humidity control has increased the temperature setting by 1 degree, resulting in a final temperature of 26.8 degrees. A similar tab is also available in the main ventilation, so that the compensation for minimum and maximum ventilations are also visible.
How do you display a graph from a measurement? By pressing on a measurement, you can display a graph of a measurement over the last 24 hours. Here's an example of the current temperature. By pressing the white arrow left or right of the graph, you can navigate 1 day back or forward. This allows you to go back up to a month on the device without Farm Connect. But also being logged is the changes that are made in the settings. By clicking on the setting, you can view the change log via the Logs tab. You will then see the changes listed below each other with the corresponding date and time, the username that made the change, and the new value set.
The alarm screen has also been updated. The setting for main alarm on and off has been removed. There are now 2 ways to temporarily suppress an alarm. Temporarily off, all alarms are temporarily suppressed. The duration of the temporary off can be set by the installer. When you activate temporarily off, a timer starts running so that you can see how long the alarm is suppressed. There's also a snooze option. This allows you to suppress a current active alarm until a set time. This is particularly useful for short-term recurring alarms, such as faulty potentiometer or a poor connection in the cable of a temperature sensor. The snoozed alarm remains snoozed even after it's gone off by itself, until the set time has passed. This functionality prevents the alarm system from being activated several times a day in event of a recurring short-term malfunction. If you want to clear all snooze alarm, you select Clear.
In the alarm overview, you can see which alarm notifications are active. Unlike the PL-9400 and PL-9500, you can see all active alarms here. In the History tab, you can see when an alarm was received, when it became active, and when it was resolved.
An option that is not new, but really worth mentioning, is that for a number of alarms, such as counters, animal weighing, feed weighing, and other controls, there is a night off option in addition to the off and on option. This settings allows you to suppress alarms during the night period. In the alarm log, if an alarm occurred, it will be shown as blocked with the time at which it was occurred. Because the PL-9600 is a completely new platform that uses the latest technology and security technology to communicate with the cloud, Farm Connect 4 is being developed. The current status of Farm Connect 4 is that the PL-9600 can be already operated remotely. As a result, many of the functions of Farm Connect 2 are already available in Farm Connect 4. Such as the graphs for each measurement, the change log, and alarm log. A new feature is that the dashboard created by the user on the PL-9600 is also visible in Farm Connect 4, and thus on your office laptop, your phone, or tablet. We are now currently working to add other devices such as the PFA-9400, the PW8B animal weigher, the AL10 alarm unit, and the FAMSG alarm unit to Farm Connect 4. Here is a slide about the communication architecture with Farm Connect 4 and the other computers on the farm. The familiar RS485 connection is needed to exchange information between the computers, such as FAMSG, the PFA-9400, and the PFE-9400, and also the outside temperature and humidity between the climate controllers. A TCP connection is needed to establish a live connection with the PL-9600 to Farm Connect 4. The PL-9600 has many more settings and measurements than the PL-9500. What is a problem with the RS485 connection? Another advantage this way is that a Web 485 or an FAMSG is not always required to connect a PL-9600 to Farm Connect 4.
In conclusion, what have you learned in this webinar? The difference between the PL-9500 and PL-9600. How to start up and install the PL-9600. How the dashboard works, the possibility with the widgets, and various new user settings. And what are the benefits of the PL-9600? Real-time cloud technology, easier installation and more user options, easily create your own dashboard by using widgets, and add and customizing temperature sensors is simplified, more comprehensive alarm management.
And much more. The manuals, the leaflets, and the software for the PL-9600 are available for download from our website. The leaflets and the user manuals can be downloaded in English without logging in. The installer manual and the software is available behind the partner login.
Now it's time for the Q&A, our question and answer session. What questions have we received? I see we have made a selection of 5 questions. And the first question is, how cyber secure is the PL-9600?
Well, the security matches the last security rules set by the EU. This is the SSL and TLS technology. Another question
about cyber security, or does the system support two-factor authentication, 2FA, for remote access?
At this moment, not yet.
Is it possible to use the device itself as a user without a PIN code?
Yes. You can set the PL-9600 so that no PIN code is necessary to do changes. You do that by the default user, the setting, allow settings.
Does the PL-9600 also have an interface that allows the data to be used by another system?
Yes, it will, but you need Farm Connect 4 by that. An API connectivity will also become available.
Is the software already translated into Polish?
The answer is not yet, but we see possibilities as you as a partner can help us translating the controller in our own languages. For customers all over the world, basically every language is possible, but you need to need a little bit of help with that to help us.
That are the questions, I think, from Q&A, or
we are waiting a few, maybe a few questions come in. We are waiting.
Do you know which language are already available?
Yes, it is English, Dutch. It is English, Dutch, French, German, Spanish, yeah, and Swedish.
Swedish, okay. Are we able for the whole crop rather than just per day?
At this moment, not yet. There will be, it will be made.
We have shown that you can go back 1 month by clicking by day by day, but not.
No, that's not what they want. They want a list from the complete plot.
Okay. I know. Is there a possibility to work with a demo over Farm Connect 4? Yeah, we have a PL-9600 in our demo room.
Yes, basically the answer will be get in contact with our service department and they will arrange something for you.
Are we waiting till more questions or?
Okay.
Okay, then we will finish. On behalf of the webinar team, thank you for watching, chatting and participating. We hope you learned something new and we wish you a great rest of your working day. Keep an eye on our newsletters for updates and on upcoming webinars so you can register again. If you didn't have the opportunity to provide feedback on this webinar during the chat, please send it us by email. We look forward to seeing you next time.